Hello, people of the internet. Welcome to a long-awaited episode of Kaiju's Corner. I am your host, Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir, and here with me, who has been pretty absent from my channel for the last several months, it is the one and only Deadpoolzilla.
That's right, asshole. You abandoned me.
Well, I was busy moving across the Pacific Ocean, getting settled, trying to establish a life in another country whose language I have yet to master. It's been a busy couple of months, you know. You know how it is.
I was like Simon without Garfunkel, man. Wasn't fun.
All that was left was you and your Jack Daniels.
Yeah, which he's accompanying me for this Kaiju Corner. So be prepared, people. You're gonna see drunk Poolzilla.
Let me tell you something about this fucking topic here. And then you just start talking about like people you hate in real life. It's like, what does this have to do? I'm scared now.
Well, apparently in one moment in Drunken Bliss, someone told me that I had a conversation about how to go down properly on a woman. So anything's possible.
All right then. But anyways, how have you been, my friend?
I'm good.
I mean, how has Trump burned America to the ground yet?
No. We haven't gotten to, Immortan Joe, so
So you're not gonna ride you're not gonna ride Shiny and Glorious on the Fury Road yet?
No. But in Trump's case it would be orange painted and tiny hand.
Yeah, makes sense. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a while since the last episode of Kaiju's Corner. I believe the last one we did was about the possibility of Disney's acquisition of Toei. I don't know if it's Toei Company or Toei Studios, but yeah, obviously, that didn't happen. And I have been wanting to get back into making Kaiju's Corner for a while, but it was at that point where I really want to focus on my scripted reviews for the Heisei Godzilla series, along with the other Heisei films made in between those films. And after that, I decided to take a long break, started trying to not rebrand the channel, but trying to increase the quality, trying to get extra people involved in my video projects. And there's the whole thing of me moving to Japan and having to establish myself here. So there has been a lot of factors that have gone the way of me producing a new Kaiju's Corner. And to be honest, I did miss this channel, this show of mine, because not only does it give me the opportunity to talk with Deadpoolzilla here, who is fun to talk to, but also this is that one outlet where I can use to talk about anything that comes up and anything that pops up in my head, or just talk about current pop culture related news. And while I did used to do that with Shoe Watch, I kind of turned Shoe Watch into more of an interview show, and I do plan on hopefully making more episodes of Shoe Watch down the line. But again, there just hasn't been an absence of Shoe Watch, mostly because again, just channeling my energies into the scripted reviews, which I know are pretty much like the lifeblood of this channel of mine. So, Deadpoolzilla, what exactly are we going to be talking about in this resurgence of an episode?
Well, we're going to talk about some news that hit the internet a couple days ago and made me shit a brick.
And that piece of news is?
The Godzilla anime film.
Woo! Finally! Shin-Chan vs. Shin Gojira is coming to America!
Fuck you!
Oh boy, it turns out Polygon Pictures is remaking Shin-Chan vs. Godzilla. They're trying to expand it into a feature-length film.
Don't you put that evil on me. Don't you put that evil on me.
Oh, it's like, hey, it's been confirmed. Deadpoolzilla, he said it first. You heard it here, folks, fellas.
Oh man, look, I had no problem with the Shin-Chan Shin Gojira crossover. I understand that it was meant to be for comedy's sake,
and the fact that it was meant for a Japanese audience that appreciates Shin-Chan more so than Shin Gojira.
Yeah, but. You say what you want, but I think that was kind of like what got the foot in the door to do something like that. And plus with this whole, no pun intended, resurgence of this love for Godzilla again.
Oh, yeah. I was very surprised when Toho made the announcement that they were going to be going forward with an animated movie of Shin
Yeah.
Gojira. I'm thinking that the reason why was because after it was revealed that there was going to be a huge time gap between Legendary's Godzilla and Godzilla 2, I guess Toho was like, "Oh, we can't allow such a large gap between Godzilla related properties." So maybe Toho decided to go on like a full-on media assault and just end up like trying to promote Godzilla and to fill in the gap between these the American productions. So henceforth, we had Shin Gojira, we had the Godzilla vs. Evangelion merchandise, Shin-Chan versus Shin Gojira, and now this animated project.
Yeah, which I'm like, that's something I think a majority of Godzilla fans have kind of wanted,
Oh,
for the long,
yeah.
because Godzilla anime, it should have happened like way back in the Showa era, really.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
And it's kind of
and
funny. And it's funny. It's like, I guess you could say that a good majority of Godzilla fans have had some exposure to anime, being that they are like two forms of Japanese entertainment. I would say like not definitely like maybe like not definitely not all anime fans are Godzilla fans, but I would say that a lot of Godzilla fans are also anime fans.
yeah.
I know I'm
Plus,
saying, sorry, I know I'm saying anime only because I'm used to saying anime when I'm talking to my students. So it's like I'm combining anime and anime, and I'm like mixing my pronunciations together. And also, I've been like teaching in Japan. I'm more used to saying Gojira now than Godzilla. Only because like my Japanese students, they don't know about Godzilla's American name. So it's like if I say Godzilla, they'll be like, "Huh? Gojira?" Ah, they'll be like, "Okay."
But no, I think the big thing also is that we're seeing Toho being a little more relaxed with their with the Godzilla license.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I didn't think they would do a crossover, period, let alone with fucking Shin-Chan.
Yeah, but I guess he's just that marketable.
Yeah, true. But the other thing is that I'm surprised they're even doing this merchandise, this cross merchandise with Evangelion.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, allowing to do this anime, I think they're kind of starting to learn that, Godzilla can be profitable in other forms, not just in the single films. I think they're finally understanding we can do all this and make more money.
Right. It's like, wait a minute. Do you mean to tell us people are willing to give us their money if we were to experiment?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Although I do want to say I was really surprised by what studio they announced would be producing this movie, which is, I believe, Polygon Pictures, which has which is a 3D animation studio, 3D animation company, and the one work that most people would probably know about is Knights of Sidonia, as well as Tron Uprising and Transformers Prime. And of course, all three projects are 3D animated projects. So this isn't going to be the Godzilla anime that most Godzilla fans have been looking forward to. I think when most people think about like a Godzilla anime, they tend to think about like something like Evangelion or any sort of giant robot show.
Can I say the production company I would have loved to see do a Godzilla anime?
Gainax?
I was going to say Studio Bones, really.
What did Bones do?
Bones was behind, if I remember right, Ghost in the Shell and... yeah. I would also love to see the animation team behind Attack on Titan do them.
Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, people would think, like, a lot of people, I think modern-day anime fans would think about Attack on Titan as, like, the basis for a Godzilla anime in terms of art and animation, art style, production-wise, and all that kind of junk. For me, personally, I think I would have gone more with Sunrise, only because I'm a huge Gundam fan, and I think Sunrise also produced The Big O, and The Big O also had some really kick-ass, like, monster fights, a few episodes that involved giant monsters, and...
Yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm. I think, what was it? I think, what company made Daiguard? Daiguard was also another, like, monster-heavy show, but I want to say also Sunrise? Let's see. Just a quick little Google search, and I'll find out which company produced Daiguard. It was, Zebek? Oh, never heard of that one before. But but yeah, anyways, there are a lot of different animation studios that people would think about as opposed to the 3D animation studio that Toho went with. So I think, do you think Deadpoolzilla? Do you think a lot of Godzilla fans that are aware of this anime, do you think they're aware that this is going to be a CG animated movie?
I hope they're aware when it comes out, but yeah, here's the thing. Knights of Sidonia does have some choppy 3D animation.
Yeah, it does.
Let's not beat around the... But I think with the money Toho will be giving this film, plus with the director behind the people behind it, the production team behind it, I think they could actually turn out something good here because, yeah, Transformers Prime looked great because they got a lot of money for it. Plus,
yeah, Hasbro got a lot of that Michael Bay money.
Yeah. Plus, you also have to look at, the creative team behind this, the two directors and the writer of this film, who are, I cannot pronounce the guy's name, but the writer is the same guy who did Madoka Magica.
Right. I've heard a lot about Madoka Magica for the last several years, and I haven't seen it simply because my own personal bias against magical girl anime. But from what I understand, it's like this really dark, like fucked up version, like it's like what Evangelion is to giant robots, to giant robot anime. Madoka Magica was like this dark deconstruction of the magical girl genre that involved these characters, like essentially.
It's the Antichrist of magical girl anime.
Where it's like essentially these, from what I understand, it's like these girls, in order to get these magical powers, they end up actually signing a contract that like essentially they're like giving their soul, like signing us a Faustian contract with the devil of some sort.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. There's a lot more to it, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Mm-hmm. It's a very dark anime, and I would imagine the writer behind this, who's been known as the last name is Yorobuchi, but he's known as Yorobucher.
A butcher. So is that an intentional pun?
That's an intentional pun because this dude apparently has a body count to his work.
Sounds like Yoshiyuki Tomino from Gundam. Oh, he was Yoshiyuki Tomino. He was like I think he was kind of like the George R.R. Martin of his time.
Yeah. Plus, what he's also really good at is doing like these dark themes, while at the same time doing something completely outlandish, which is something I always like with Godzilla. You can do dark and outlandish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And that's why I think a big reason why people have been begging for a Godzilla anime for years, only because it's with animation. There are no limitations as to what you can do in terms of monster designs, in terms of the scale and scope of the destruction and the scenery. There's so many possibilities you can do when it comes to animation. Sure, Godzilla will always be known as a live-action man in a rubber suit character, but I feel like within like an artistic medium like comic books and especially animation, the sky's the limit as to what you can do there.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. The other major thing with this is that I feel like the team knows I hope they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I'm surprised they didn't go. The one thing I'm surprised at is they didn't go to Hideki Anno to do anything. Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to maybe they're trying to branch out and create multiple, maybe they want to make distinct versions of Godzilla. Like, let's look at with Warner Brothers back when they released The Dark Knight. They decided to make another Batman TV show, and we ended up with Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is nothing like The Dark Knight. It's like its own unique beast.
I like Brave and the Bold.
I never said it was a bad show, remember? I didn't say that. I enjoy Brave and the Bold as well, but it's like they are two distinct versions of the same character made for different audiences, or the same audience who enjoys both styles.
Yeah. So and the big thing is... Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, so maybe they didn't get Anno because maybe they were more interested in making another version of Godzilla.
Yeah. The other major thing is that we might as well address this, is that it looks like Godzilla will be CG.
Yeah. No matter how hard you begged in your solo video.
Oh, I would have said I'd be sucking dicks to make sure we get 2D Godzilla.
Now, is that you or the booze talking?
Bit of column A, bit of column B.
And while I was watching your video, I was like, oh, you poor deluded fool.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
treacherous bastard.
it's pretty much, it's like, if I've seen this a lot of times in anime where whenever they would have a bigger, like a large character or a large robot, outside of Gundam, surprisingly, outside of that,
Hey, the Titans were 2D.
that is true. That is true. Yeah, but I think in a lot of anime, whenever they would have like a one, maybe it's one. Whenever they would have like one big object, they would tend to have that object be depicted in animation, in CG animation. Like, wasn't the robot from Ghost in the Shell CG?
You mean the Touchcomas? Yeah, they were CG.
Yeah, from yeah, like the spider robots.
Yeah, standalone complex. They were CG.
Yeah. Or it's like it's not anime, but it's a similar approach where both Voltron, Legendary Defender, and Legend of Korra featured large mechanical titans. Spoiler alert for Legend of Korra, but it's couple years old now, so who cares?
Yeah.
So they are also rendered in CG. So it's like, and because this is a CG animation company, there's no doubt that this is going to be a CG Godzilla. But yeah, to go back to Knights of Sidonia, for me personally, it's like the animation was really rough, where it's like it attempts to match the frame rate. It tries to match the visual look of a 2D hand-drawn anime, only except it's rendered in 3D. So the characters, they move like they would if they were in 2D. The characters are drawn. They're the detail on their suits and the detail on their faces would be drawn as if it was 2D. So like a lot of it feels very flat. A lot of it feels like everything was like flat and painted on like plastic character models. And like if the characters are moving fast, the CG looks good. But whenever characters are making slow, subtle movements like walking or like slowly moving their arm, that's when this choppiness like starts to come out. And that's my biggest concern in terms of like the quality of the CG, just judging by their work on Knights of Sidonia, which was, unlike Transformers Prime or Tron Uprising, this one was a Japanese production that didn't have the backing of either Hasbro or Disney, and it was decent for the most part once your eyes start to adjust to the visual style. But like I really didn't want this sort of thing applied for Godzilla, but hopefully, like you said, if given the right amount of budget, given the right budget, they could make something that is way better, especially since this is something that's only meant for 2 hours, a 2-hour cinematic project as opposed to a 13 episode season.
Yeah. The other major thing you have to look at is what kind of Godzilla are they going to go with? Are they going to stick with Shin, or are they going to make their own Godzilla for this?
Yeah. Now, that is a very interesting question, because I like to think that they might go with a Heisei Godzilla, because that seems to be the main Godzilla that they keep advertising in whatever new merchandise they come up with.
And I can see that, because the Heisei Godzilla is like kind of like Toho's mascot, quintessentially.
Yeah. I mean, they have a Heisei Godzilla statue along with a Heisei Godzilla mural outside of their studio.
Yeah, and the Heisei Godzilla design is for the hotel.
Exactly, and the Heisei Godzilla design is used for the Godzilla video game, and Heisei Godzilla is what you mostly see in the Evangelion cross-promotional artwork.
Yeah, so so those are the two. They could easily make their own Godzilla, but I'm thinking it could be Heisei or it could be Shin Gojira. One of those two.
It would be really interesting to see how they would explain Shin Gojira in this new context, because judging by like the one piece of concept art they have shown, it seems to have a slightly more sci-fi edge to it, just by looking at the design that ship of some kind, if we can call it a ship. I do want to say it kind of has. It also reminds me, that ship itself, in design-wise, reminds me of Knights of Sidonia, because Knights of Sidonia seems to have a lot of the designs of all the machines seem to have a very like a rectangular what do you call that shape? Like a tube, a rectangle shaped tube, rectangular prism.
I don't know.
What
Anyway.
but it's like
but my thing is that enough about shapes. I want to talk about like that landscape because I think this may be centered around Monster Island.
yeah, it's really strange. I don't know why they went with that of that image of all things, because there's nothing in that promotional artwork that makes you think Godzilla. Maybe it reminds me more of like Aliens or Prometheus, if anything, about like explorers visiting a strange foreign land that they are unfamiliar with.
True. That is true, but at the same time, it's like, does this mean we'll get to see other kaiju outside of Godzilla?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I only wish that we could have seen like some hint of destruction in that scene outside of just a generic jungle.
So instead of like them looking out in this vast jungle, you wanted to see like a destroyed city or something?
Yeah, maybe a destroyed city, or maybe you could have the jungle, but maybe have like a footprint in the jungle, a giant footprint.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. But yeah, this kind of leads open to the question for Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Does this mean we could get other classic kaiju in here, or even still new kaiju? I'm okay with either, really.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen like the type of unique creations that American animation have provided us, like the C-Rex, for example, from Godzilla the series. You can never come up with something like that in like suit form.
Yeah, or the Nurzog or the El Gasorno and stuff like that. And then you had the Mutos, which were, yeah.
Yeah, but still, they were pretty unique with a fairly interesting body type, like half reptilian, half insectoid.
Yeah, but still, I felt like they were just trying to. It was a little too Cloverfield for me. But I didn't.
I think.
Here's the other thing.
I think the color scheme saved it for me, personally speaking.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I've always wanted to say about Godzilla, about Legendary Godzilla. Either you like it or you hate it. You can't help but deny. You can't deny. Mm-hmm. You cannot deny that it got people interested in Godzilla again, and that was the major drive for Toho to do stuff like this.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's the same case with any other property, where whenever something gets big and popular, the company's sure to capitalize on that with more merchandise. Or as Yogurt said in Spaceballs, merchandise, where the real money from the movie gets made. And yeah, I feel like this animated endeavor could be simply just another piece of merchandise made to capitalize on the newfound success of Godzilla, and especially Shin Gojira having topped the Japanese box office charts for 2 weeks and becoming the most successful Godzilla film ever, at least in terms of like when not adjusted for inflation. I believe. I think maybe if you adjust the prices for inflation, I think King Kong versus Godzilla or Mothra versus Godzilla is still like number one.
All right. The other thing with this is that I'm curious, would you be cool with old kaiju or new kaiju or a combination of both in this film?
I would be more interested in a combination of both. I would like to see like new forms, because I think if you're going to have a movie, actually no, it's very interesting. It's not interesting, but it's very, I don't know, problematic. I think if you were to have a TV series, I would love to see a combination of like old monsters and new monsters. Maybe have some like in-between monsters, not in-between monsters, but it's like maybe have like, I want like if they are going to go with like Monster Island or maybe like Monster Planet or Monster Continent or whatever. I would like to see a large variety of monsters as opposed to just like 4 or 5. Maybe the budget will only allow for 4 or 5 monsters to live on this island, if that's what they're going with in terms of the narrative. If they decide to go with like only a handful of monsters, given like the theoretical limitations of their budget, maybe they could have like 1 or 2 like big bad monsters and maybe a couple recognizable monsters. Kind of like what they did with Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, where you had Godzilla, you have Anguirus, and then, oh, who's this new guy? Mechagodzilla.
Yeah. And King Caesar.
And King Caesar, yeah. So you got a combination of old and new monsters there. Or like... Yeah,
I would actually, in this kind of animation, I'd be really cool to see one of the Mechagodzillas.
Yeah. Or better yet, do you remember the episode of Godzilla the series, where the whole episode took place on Monster Island, and it was
Yeah.
like a bee monster, and like you see all their familiar monsters, but then like the bee monster, that's the one that's like fucking shit up, and that's like the new one.
I thought it was if I remember, wasn't it a giant mosquito?
Oh yeah, yeah, it was probably a mosquito. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed, like, especially if it's Polygon Pictures. I'd actually kind of want to see, like, they probably go with Kiyu, too.
Right, right, yeah. Kiryu seems to be the most appropriate one. And I think in terms of aesthetics-wise and matching it up with the art style seen on that ship alone and Knights of Sidonia, I can see them making something like that. Or you know what'd be cool if that like Metal Gear looking Mechagodzilla that was designed by the Metal Gear Solid artist. Imagine if he were to have designed that Mechagodzilla solely for this series or for this movie.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Aba Unit Metal Gear Zilla.
Yeah. But yeah, the other thing you have to look at is, and this kind of surprised me too, is that we're getting this next year. They did, and if I remember right, it's summer 2017.
Yeah, yeah. But then you think about it, like, look at like the Pokemon franchise and how many movies they were able to quickly pump out. I feel like in Japanese productions, they tend to take things very fast and quickly. I don't know, how would you call it, fast and loose, I guess you can say, in terms of like trying to pump out as many movies as they can, especially if it's like an ongoing series. And I want to know, what was like the gap between the DBZ Battle of Gods and the DBZ Resurrection F movies?
I don't know, production. I don't know.
Let's see. I'll do a little check right here for Resurrection F. Because I think Battle of Gods was 2013.
Yeah. So the other thing with this anime, do you want? Obviously, we're gonna have human characters.
Yeah.
Do you? Hopefully, we can get good human characters.
Yeah, yeah, I do hope so. I mean, we've had plenty of human characters. I mean, if there's one thing that always bugged me is that how a lot of Godzilla fans almost never acknowledge like a lot of the good human characters we get in Godzilla movies, and I feel like we may get a lot of them too. Especially when it looks like this, from the looks of from the teaser trailer, it looks like this movie might focus on like scientist explorers, as opposed to the government officials that we have seen or will see in Shin Gojira. I know a lot of people are probably not going to be happy with the fact that it's all politicians who are characters in Shin Gojira, but for explorers, it looks like we may have like a bit of like an action-packed type of setting, and this sort of group, this sort of like explorer cast of characters can lead to some like interesting character dynamics.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing you have to look at with this film is that this would how long would this run exactly? I mean, most animation doesn't go over 2 hours.
Right,
so,
right. So they're going to have to do a lot to like try to establish itself, establish the world, establish Godzilla, establish like if there are any monsters, establish them as well. But
you have to put another monster. That's the thing. Like you just can't have a Godzilla anime without Godzilla fighting something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, true. To answer a question I posed earlier, there was a 2-year gap between the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F movies. And since this is like a single project, I can think that maybe Toho has had this in the works for some time, maybe.
Yeah, I think maybe because apparently the Evangelion Godzilla merchandise has been selling well,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe this was another eye opener for them.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe this was like the point where they said, okay, maybe now's a good time to announce the project.
Yeah. It's also interesting that they decide to go CG instead of a traditional 2D. I don't know if that was cheaper or they want to.
CG animation is definitely not cheaper. CG animation can be very expensive, and if you look at like the budget for like the Dragon Ball Z movies are only like roughly around $5 million, Whereas if you look at something like, and that's like high quality, like 2D animation for Japan. But if you look at something like a CG movie, like, I don't know, a Pixar movie, those movies can be like up to like $150 million and up. So it's like a $5 million budget versus a $100+ million budget.
All right. I always had this weird thing in my head that the 2D was cheap, was it more expensive?
Oh, no. It's just maybe more time consuming, I think. Because you're animating it frame by frame as opposed to having a character model and you can just animate that as opposed to redrawing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Let's see. I'm trying to want to see if there have been like Japanese CG movies in the past and to see how much they have cost before.
Hey, while you're at it, you might want to look up the names of the production team behind it because it's killing me now for Godzilla.
Right, sure. So let's see. And I do have a theory as to why they wanted to make a CG movie, perhaps. And maybe that is like they wanted to make a Godzilla animated movie, and they didn't know what direction to take it in. So my theory is they looked at America and see how they pull off animated movies nowadays, and they probably said, oh, it looks like 3D CG animation is the way to go for modern day animated movies. So they said, okay, so if we're going to put Godzilla into animation, it looks like CG is the way to go. Maybe they plan on like marketing this movie to America, and so maybe they thought if it's CG, Americans would most likely go see it.
Yeah. And I would not, if it does get marketed to America, I would not be surprised if Funimation went for it again because I'm still shocked that Funimation is dubbing.
Are they dubbing?
Shin Gojira. Yeah, they are.
Has it been confirmed? Because they've only said they're distributing.
They distribute and they said they're dubbing apparently.
Oh, nice, cool. I wonder if Rando Yaguchi will be portrayed by like the voice of like Piccolo or Vegeta.
You mean Chris Sabat?
Chris Sabat, yeah. I didn't know if it was Sabat or Sabat.
I think both are acceptable.
We have to find a way to kill Godzilla.
Oh my god, his power level's over 9,000!
Let's see, and you have Bulma voicing Ann Patterson. At least then her English would sound... you can understand her English dialogue.
You said it, not me.
I'm sorry. She was terrible at speaking English. I have students who speak better English than her. But to give her credit, she had no experience speaking English beforehand. So anyways, what was it? One of the directors are Kobun Shizuno, who made Detective Conan, The Darkest Nightmare, Fist of the North Star, The Legend of Kenshiro, Fist of the North Star, The Legend of Toki. And the other director is Hiroyuki Seshita, who made Ajin, Knights of Sidonia, and that's basically it. And so Polygon Pictures, they're also known as, let's see. Oh no, there's another person named Gen Urobuchi, who...
Yeah, that's the writer who did Madoka Magica. He's writing the film.
Oh, no. He is credited with story concept and the screenplay. Okay, so you're right. He is the writer, essentially. I'm an idiot. So we have a writer and two directors. One director is most popular known for Fist of the North Star and Detective Conan, a.k.a. Case Closed. And the other one is known for Knights of Sidonia. And with the production animation company behind Knights of Sidonia and Madoka Magica. So it's like, seems like just like Shin Gojira, it seems like Toho is going out of its way to get a lot of experienced individuals, as opposed,
especially from also from anime backgrounds.
Right, yeah. So maybe they thought like, if anyone knows how to tackle Godzilla, it's these guys. If anyone knows how to tell a good story, it's the fucking anime people.
Yeah, it's also kind of interesting because I always thought they would go straight for the creator and director of director of the Attack on Titan anime.
Right, but I guess they're just not going to be going in that direction then.
Yeah, that's kind of like my dream pick, but beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, I also noticed that the Gen Urobuchi, he made Fate Zero and Psychopaths. I don't know what those are, but those names are kind of familiar.
Fate Zeroes is like the Game of Thrones of anime.
Mm-hmm.
And Psycho-Pass is like this dark... It's like Blade Runner, but a lot more psychological.
Oh, now I remember. I saw them on Netflix a while back on the menu.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So yeah, this seems to be shaping up, just by judging by the talent alone here, it seems like this will be shaping up to be quite an interesting project when we eventually get to see it.
Yeah. I'm just happy it's happening. Period. I mean, I was a little upset that we're getting a CG film instead of traditional 2D anime. But yeah, I don't, I'm not totally like, oh, I'm not gonna go see it. It's not what I wanted. No, fuck that. As I just said before,
just like certain individuals who are like, oh, Godzilla's got fucking purple bullshit atomic breath. I'm not gonna see it now. Movie's ruined.
Yeah, he's got lasers coming out of his back and his tail.
Spoiler.
And here I am. Well, the clips have been out.
Yeah, but there can be some people who try to avoid it.
Sorry.
Anyways, go ahead.
As I was saying, it's just fun to see. As I said, beggars cannot be choosers. So I'm fine with it.
You gotta take what we can get.
Yeah, I got it. And who knows? Maybe this will open the door to actually get traditional 2D anime style Godzilla, and maybe this will open the door to other stuff. Who knows? Maybe we can get an Ultraman anime, or it would be cool to see Gamera get an anime. Maybe this will open the door for the other groups like Katakawa and all these other groups. Go, hey, we can do that and it'll work.
Oh yeah, totally. So let's see. The last thing I want to mention was
I totally forgot about Polygon Pictures. They apparently did an Ultraman movie.
Oh yeah, I think they may have done the CG work for the Cosmos movies.
Yeah, they did Ultraman Cosmos versus Ultraman Justice.
Yeah. That is a live action movie, but I'm assuming they did the animation for like their laser attacks or whatnot.
Yeah, I think they did.
So let's see. And the one thing I want to mention I forgot to previously state was that in looking at the environment in the teaser image, doesn't it kind of remind you of Knights of Sidonia's like environments in terms of like looking nice, peaceful, serene, having that kind of like calming quality to it?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Especially if you look at any of the concept art for Knights of Sidonia. It does kind of invoke that similar like tone and atmosphere, even if it's all natural, whereas Knights of Sidonia is all technology based. But anyways, is there anything left to say about the announcement of a Godzilla anime?
No, not that I could say, other than I'm very much looking forward to it. Thank you, Toho, for actually deciding to do this, and hopefully it won't suck.
Hopefully, yeah. So I believe we have come to the end of our resurgence of Kaiju's Corner. Thank you very much, Deadpoolzilla, for joining me once again on this channel.
I'm always happy to be here. It's good to be back, people.
And so where can people find you?
On my channel. Where else?
Geekvolution?
What? Okay, yeah, I'm now unofficially a member of Geekvolution, but yes, on my channel.
Dude, you gotta promote yourself, man.
Yeah, my channel, Deadpoolzilla. That's where you can find me. There.
Yeah, but you gotta, Geekvolution, that's a popular site. You gotta, expose yourself, man.
Well, I don't like to toot my own horn because, like I said, I'm an unofficial member. I just do videos with Real Manos.
See, that's what we need to do. And what do you talk about with Real Manos?
Steven Universe.
There we go, my friend. All right, and so in the meantime, you can also check out my channel here on the Kaiju Noir channel. Look forward to my upcoming reviews for Keith Foster's Kodoja comic, as well as my upcoming review for Rebirth of Mothra, both of which will be my first reviews that will be edited by my new collaborator, Brayton Connor, who you may know on YouTube as Forever Kaiju. And so, yeah, he does some really cool, he's done some really cool work from what I've seen so far with the Rebirth of Mothra review, so look forward to that. In the meantime, you can check out my other videos, including my review for Shin Gojira if you want to know my further thoughts on it, as well as some other videos I've made, including my G-Fest livestream, my review for Fire Beast Dodogon X Garan, the horror from space, and finally my top 15 favorite giant robots in fiction. That was edited by my friend Andrew, aka Blue Eyes from Sapphire Night Production. And so,
yeah, who I actually did a promotion video for him.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a cool video that you made for him. So definitely check that out as well on Deadpoolzilla's channel. So thank you very much, and until next time, everybody, take care.
Bye.